This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
When you check out at the pharmacy, you see the journey from idea to medicine, thanks to our intellectual property system, or IP for short. IP safeguards inventions, like a new way to prevent seizures or lower cholesterol. And IP supports competition from other brands, then lower cost generics, which are 90% of prescriptions filled in the US. Innovation, competition, lower costs, thanks to IP. Learn more at phrma.org/IP works wonders.
Welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, we're talking about risk and the different perceptions that risk have, specifically as human beings, not just traders, how what we perceive to be risky is often the unriskiest of the two, choices, where the thing that we perceive to be comfortable and not a risk at all actually puts us in the riskiest position. It'll make sense by the time you get to the end of the podcast. But before we hop in, if you haven't done so already, make sure you leave this podcast a rating or a review. We're getting towards the end of the year. Maybe it's the new year by the time you guys hear this, but I consistently have been ranked in the top 10, really top 7 of trading podcasts out there, and I'd like to make a run at top 5, top 3 would be cool, and I need your help to do it. So I know you've listened. I know you leave me lots of kind words. Do me one more favor. Take a minute or however many seconds it takes to leave this podcast a review and or a rating wherever you listen to it at. Thank you in advance, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. So it doesn't matter if it's consolidation or against the trend. What you're trying to do as a trader is you're trying to make predictions on where price action is likely to go. You could be trading back and forth across the channel. You could be trading with the trend. You could be trading against the trend, trying to measure the end of the next outside return, right? You can find opportunities in all those situations. Yeah. The question is, are you going to set yourself up where are you allowed to? Or are you going to be, hey, I need to only trade this way in this situation? I can tell you this, if you're going to make a requirement that price has to be in a confirmed trend, especially if you're using a higher time frame, for you to take a trade in that direction, your frequency is going to be very low. Because what you're going to find is that most of the time, the market is not in any type of confirmed trend, at least in Forex. Most of the time, we're in some sort of consolidation, rotation, trying to figure things out. So if you have a rule that says I must be in a confirmed trend to take a move, just understand that there's going to be a lot of waiting on the sideline. And there's going to be a lot of moves that you look at and be like, man, I could have taken that you won't be able to take. I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just that's something that you would need to expect and be okay with. So I feel like a lot of traders start in that place until they only see 3 trade. Yeah, and I think that's the old trend is our friend type thing. We're conditioned to believe like we have to go with the path of quote unquote least resistance. And again, I did a podcast on it yesterday, answering the same question about counter trend. We perceive counter trend trading as being more risky, and it's actually not the case. But we're conditioned. Like it's like, hey, it's the herd mentality, right? If every sheep is going left, and then we decide to go right, we're the risky ones, right? We're the crazy ones, Stuart. Where right may actually be the less risky choice, but it just doesn't seem that way because everyone else chose left. I've been watching Squid Game, the reality one. And I've been having that conversation a lot with my wife, where it's like, yeah, they're doing that simply because the loudest person in the room told them to do it, and they just assume it's right. It's the same with the comfort zone, right? Like, people think trading is gambling and stupid. If you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you're dumb. It's risky. Well, some would say it's more risky to not do any of that stuff and just kind of sit and exist until your life ends without doing anything that makes you happy. Like, your risk is already locked in. It's one of those things where we just like process over outcome, where we're conditioned where if if Gregory gets a 9 out of 10 on a test, he's smarter than Stuart, who gets a 7 out of 10 on a test. Where Stuart may have been like me in high school and got all the right answers, but didn't show his work in the way that the teacher wanted to, so he got deductions. And, it's a lot of stuff we got to break. This is how we're conditioned as human beings. It's also Forex versus stocks, very different. Yeah, Forex, stocks, indices, yeah. Crypto, if that still exists, is crypto still a thing? Yeah. Working for someone who just considers you a number on their employee list is more risky than being... Yeah, a lot of people found it out during COVID when they were just like, oh, you're cut from your job. And it's like, what? Like, I thought I was safe. And a lot of people that, like, and I'm talking CEO, like big time people, thought they were safe. You realize, like, at the end of the day, when it comes down to making money or not making money, everyone's expendable. Everyone's expendable. Like, I've dealt with that a couple of times in my life where it's like, you're just like, sorry, it was a business decision. It's nothing personal. And it's like, man, I thought you guys liked me. Yeah, we did. But, like professional sports, right? Like, yeah, we just cut that quarterback. I thought you liked him. Yeah, we did. But, you need to save some money. So he's gone. Like, it's a business and it's cutthroat. And you don't want to, I think it's risky to rely on someone else for your future. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I have nothing against having jobs and stuff like that. But that's why you have side investments where, hey, in case something were to happen, I've got a backup plan, or I've got a skill that I can use, or I have the ability to start my own business. I had a buddy of mine. He had got the best thing of his life. He was. I did a podcast interview of him very, very long time ago. Crazy. So he worked at this like suit company for his entire life. Like, didn't graduate college, had kids early, worked in this suit company, worked his way up to like manager, like top of the top. He and got promoted to like regional manager, right? And it was like exciting, like he did everything the hard way and good dude, and finally got rewarded for his hard work. And then I think that job lasted for a couple months, and they realigned the regions, and then they cut him. And they said, hey, you know what? Like, we're not going to fire you. Like, we're gonna. I don't know how they sugarcoated it, but like, they didn't fire him. He went back to managing his own store, but he was no longer regional manager. And he was pissed off because like, he's like, I worked all this time and like I did everything the right way, and I finally got to where I was, and like just like that, someone realigned something and I was gone. He's like, there's no safe. Like, what's stopping him from firing me tomorrow? And my man with like 5 kids quit his job off principles and figured it out the hard way. Said, I'm gonna do something where I can control my own future. He got into real estate because at least he knew, like, hey, it's up to me. Like, I can earn as much as I want to work. If I want to be a lazy bum, I'll get nothing. If I want to hustle and work hard, I'll earn a lot. And he went from a real estate agent and worked his way up to a really top selling real estate agent to, a manager of the company to basically a mortgage broker. And now he's the boss. He fires people. He doesn't want to fire people, I'm sure, but now he has that control. And like the entire time, and especially like, again, having 5 kids, like young kids at the time, everyone's like, man, that's risky. Like, just be a manager. But they're thinking small picture. He's like, yeah, well, it seems risky now. But what's really risky is waking up every day and not knowing if I'm going to be fired or not. Huh? Like, I have zero control. He realized I have no control. I can be the best employee in the world, and he was, and still get cut, still get fired. And that's the scariest thing. And he bet on himself long term. He said, hey, I'm going to put myself in a risky position short term, and trust myself to figure it out. But long term, I'm going to put myself in a position where I control my destiny, where I control my family's outlook. And for him, that was less risky because bigger picture, it was a safer choice. So it's all about how you think about it, man. It's different perspectives, and you get those perspectives at different times in life, and a lot of those perspectives they occur when stuff happens to you in life. I remember the first time I got fired from a job was a game-changing experience. I mean, that's when kind of morality, in a sense, or reality, kind of hit me. Because I was the whole like, hey, just work hard as you can. You'll make money, you get a check, work more hours, you'll make more money. Like I can do this all day, right? To wake up, I got fired. I did nothing wrong. It was like, I'm an athlete. I'm used to getting cut from teams and like coach being like, well, yeah, we need you to be faster. We need you to be stronger. We need you to be, whatever like that. And like having reasons, and I can come back the next year and make the team because I worked on those things. I got fired, and it's like, I'm like, I went into the boss the next day, said, hey, appreciate you giving me the opportunity, blah, blah, just curious so I can better myself for the future. What was it that I did to get fired? I'm trying to gain knowledge to like, hey, my next stop will be better. And they're like, nah, you did everything right. You're a great employee. Just, it's just business. I'm like, what? Like, it didn't compute with me. It's weird because now I do trading where it's like I can have everything right on the trade. It still loses. And I'm like, what the hell? But that was the reason I guess with one of my biggest hurdles was in trading was like, hey, I took it personal every time I lost a trade. Because every time I lost a trade, I wanted an answer. How come it lost? How come it lost? How come it lost? And it took me years to realize like, well, there's just it's probabilities. It's not going to win every time. But it was that reality check which gave me like, hey, like I don't want to work for someone my entire life. It was there were other things too, like time freedom. But like I don't want to work for someone my entire life because like what if I invest everything for this many years and then have the rug pulled out for me that quickly? Like it's scary. Like I want to work for something where it's sustainable. Or at least I control my own destiny, where it's like, hey, if I'm going to get cut from a team, it's because I suck, right? If coach is going to cut me for the team, it's because I suck or I wasn't as good as someone else at my position. And in my mind, like I'm going to be better than everyone else at my position because I can control that. I guess I can't control how good they are, but I can control what I put on tape, what I show my coach. And typically if you show enough to your coach, you make the team. In business, you think that's the case, right? There are employees that are highly valued, but again, COVID showed us that at the end of the day, it's about money. You could be the star performer for your company. If you make too much money and they need to save money, you could be it. You could be it. So I hope this wasn't a Debbie Downer episode. I hate to kind of have these conversations about, thinking about life and where you're at and how you may not be as safe as you want. But I do also understand that it's very important from someone that's been in that same situation myself and really use that reality check to kind of have a paradigm shift in how I was thinking. And then those new thoughts allowed me to take new actions. And those new actions are what allowed me to really put myself in the position I am today. And it trust me when I say it's a much better position than what I would have been doing, which is probably still cleaning toilets every night at midnight or whatnot. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm Debbie Downer, but take some time to think about where you're at, take some time to think about where you want to be, and start taking the actions to better your situation. All right, until next time, plan your trade, trade your plan. Take care.